So after a huge weekend filled with some of the top prospects in all of high school football, Lincoln Riley and the USC Trojans stay hot on the recruiting trail, getting yet another big-time pickup, giving them 13 commits in the class of 2025 and vaulting them to the number 4 recruiting class in the nation. This time, we need to talk about Hayden Lowe, an edge out the state of California who ranks as one of the top prospects in all of high school football, regardless of position, and why USC fans need to be excited. But before we can, as always, y'all know the drill. I have got to hear from you. Hop down to the comments. Give me a Y for yes, N for no. Are you excited that Hayden Lowe joins this class? And do me a favor, let me know how you think USC does their first year in the Big Ten. I have a video that I'm planning to do later this week, and that information would be massive for me to be able to make it a well-rounded, well-thought-out video because I need to hear from you, the fans. Speaking of, if you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, hit that bell notification as I do constant college football content. You don't want to miss any of it. And if you enjoyed the content, be sure to like and comment down below. And that's not just relegated to me. Do that for your favorite content creator. It is massive, helping them get picked up and maintained by the YouTube algorithm. But having said all of that, let's jump right into this. And let's start with the question we always ask whenever we talk about recruiting wins. Who is Hayden Lowe? Well, Hayden Lowe, as I alluded to in the intro, is one of the top prospects in all of high school football, regardless of position. In fact, if we look at the 24/7 Sports Composite, he comes in as a top 300 prospect in the nation, specifically the number 242 player, the number 19 edge, and one of the top players in the state of California, where he plays for Oaks Christian High School, and he stands 6'4", 242 pounds. Now, California is one of those interesting states that we talk about a lot here on the channel where they are constantly loaded with prospects you want your team to be able to successfully recruit. You want your team to establish a pipeline to the state of California. And for a school that's in the state, it's big to be able to keep that talent home if you're able to. Remember, I've said this multiple times, and of course I think it's pertinent, so we'll say it right now. It's not feasible to keep all your players within your state. Recruiting is far too national now. It's very difficult to do so, but you just can't miss out on the guys you can't afford to miss out on. And we're going to touch on that a little bit later. But let's specifically zone in on Hayden Lowe. What does he bring to the table? First and foremost, he has the size, speed, and physicality you want at that edge position. When you turn on the film, there's a few things you're going to notice. First and foremost, that first step is quick and it's explosive. And for an edge, for a pass rusher, that's really what you want in that first step. It is a first step that is purposeful. He is attacking the offensive lineman to go through him to get the ball carrier, and that's what I love to see. And he's able to hit home a lot with violent intent. He also has great speed and bend for an edge rusher in high school, and that's something that's going to be able to translate to the college level. And especially when you look at who these potential coaches could be and who the recruiters were. You had Coach Sean and you had Coach Eric Henderson. And those two right there, I think, were fantastic additions for this USC staff, especially Coach Henderson, who has already been able to flex his muscles on the recruiting trail, and we've talked about him here before on the channel. I think that was a phenomenal addition, and it's going to be really fun to see how he's able to make a tangible difference, along with the other hires that Lincoln Riley and USC made on this defense. But let's focus in on that, the defense, right quick, because that's been the constant and consistent question whenever we're talking about Lincoln Riley teams. Will the defense be able to assist the offense? And unfortunately, more often than not for Lincoln Riley, the answer has been no, time and time again. But I must admit, I love the hires they made this offseason. I love the direction they've gone, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later on in the week or possibly next week about some of the fantastic hires and additions to this staff and what it means going forward. But whenever you look at this, being able to recruit is a great place to start. Going into the Big Ten, like the SEC, is one of those leagues where you're going to have the X's and O's. You're going to have coaches that are great at X's and O's. You also must have the Jimmies and the Joes. And so when we look at what USC has done on the recruiting trail, specifically in the class of 2025, it is hyper impressive. Let's go through the list. You have Justice Terry, who comes in as a top 10 prospect in all of high school football, specifically the number 7 player in the nation and the number 2 defensive lineman, goes without saying, a 5-star. You have Isaiah Gibson, the number 36 player nationally and the number 2 edge. You have Hilton Stubbs, the number 56 player in the nation, safety, and the number 6 safety in the nation. You have Matai Tagoai, number 78 in the nation and the number 10 linebacker. And I made a video on Matai, and he is one of my favorite prospects in this class. He is a ton of fun to watch. Such a versatile athlete who's pretty much well done it all at the high school level and done it at an elite level. I am really excited to see him enter college, get in a college strength and conditioning room, learn the game, and then see him hit the field, because I think he is going to be an incredibly fun player to watch on Saturdays. So I'm really looking forward to whenever he hits campus. You have Hayden Lowe, who we're talking about in this video, number 242 in the nation and a top 20 edge. You have Gus Cordova out the state of Texas, defensive lineman, and you have cornerback Tristan Castro. So this staff has made a conscious effort to recruit the defensive side of the ball. And I already know there will be some people who doubt USC's defensive ability this season. And it's one of those things where I can understand it. We must be shown the results before we can full force buy into the results. However, what I would say to anybody typing right now on this video saying, yes, but they have to keep those recruits you just listed, that goes for every college out there. You have got to be able to consistently recruit, and especially in today's day and age, with the transfer portal, with how fluid recruiting is, you got to recruit your own roster 24/7, 365. So, of course, you are going to have to continue recruiting each and every one of these names, and for USC, there is a double-edged sword here, like the little pun, but for USC, you've got guys in this defensive class that other schools are going to want and want bad. Now, that's great for you because it means you've zeroed in on prospects that you know are going to be dudes. The flip side of that is those other schools, they're not going to shy away. Georgia is going to want some of the guys on this list. Alabama is going to be pushing for some of the guys on this list, just to name two heavyweight recruiters. Now, that being said, you've made some fantastic hires on the defensive side of the ball that have made a real tangible difference recruiting. That's why we can go through this list of defensive prospects already, and it's so impressive, especially when you only have 13 guys in your class, and I just listed out that list of defensive prospects in June. Recruiting is really just beginning, ladies and gentlemen. There's nothing but time and opportunity, and already you have compiled a list of very impressive prospects. It's going to be interesting to see, but at the end of the day, you have to start somewhere. And this USC staff made a lot of changes this offseason, and I'm really curious. I'm really excited to see what that looks like, especially going into a league in the Big Ten where defense is going to have to be far more at the forefront. The style of play there, it is different. There is something to be said about the differences in the styles in which these different conferences play. Now, that's not to say that there are analogous features. Of course there are. But the Big Ten has branded and prided itself on being a physical league where you have got to win in the trenches, which, listen, that's kind of an eye roll statement. That's a universal truth for football, but the Big Ten just seems to take it to another level, right? Like it's a 3 yards in a cloud of dust league where they're going to be just fine handing the ball off to a physical running back and running it down your throat the entirety of the game. So I'm interested to see the difference this new staff will make for USC, but we can already see a difference on the recruiting trail. And like I said earlier in this video, the Big Ten is one of those leagues where you're going to face teams that have the X's and the O's. That's all well and good, and USC has that as well. You also have to have the Jimmies and the Joes, so it's good to see USC recruiting at a very high level, especially on the defensive side of the ball, because I don't think there's anybody out there that questions USC's offense. Can't wait to hear from all of you. Hop down to the comments. Let me know what you're thinking about Hayden Lowe. And then, once again, let me know how you think you do your first year in the Big Ten. That's going to really help me get fans' perspective on a video that I plan to make later this week, possibly next week. We'll see. But be on the lookout for that. That's it. See ya.